Hey there, fellow adventurers. We're back from our most recent trip to Ireland. We'll take you along on our first 18 and a half or so hours in country. We're going to hit a few things in Dublin that we missed the first time around. We're also going to take public transit up to the beautiful port city of Howth, and then back to Dublin for a Friday night in the Temple Bar district, and stick around to see which guilty pleasure we finish the night with.
So to start off with, once again, we flew into the Dublin airport via Aer Lingus. And overall, the flight was great. The staff was great. We were well fed. Food, I thought, was rather...
The food is always really good on Aer Lingus.
It really was. It really was. And to top it off, we even arrived early, I think by 20 minutes or maybe 30. Being that we've been at that airport before, we knew that we wanted to take the Dublin Express from the airport to Heuston Station. And the stop at Heuston Station for our bus was maybe a 10-minute walk. So we remembered that was very convenient for us. So we headed to our accommodations at the Aisling Hotel, lovely hotel by the way, and they allowed us to stow our luggage because it was, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and we could not check in that day until around 2 or 2:30. So we started walking east towards Trinity College. Along the River Liffy, we found a coffee shop, had some coffee to keep us up on a little bit of a brisk morning, and headed into the city area around Trinity College. We went to Grafton Street, where Karen wanted to find something. And Karen, being as smart as she is, she had gotten us tickets for an early morning session at the Trinity Library. So we were kind of on a schedule, but we got there early. We walked around, saw a few sights from the neighborhood.
One of the places that I really wanted to see, it's a very Instagrammable place, it was the umbrella installation in one of the alleys in Dublin off of Grafton Street. And it was really very beautiful. I was very happy because we were tired. We hadn't slept that well in the plane, and we'd been up a long time, and we were a little crabby maybe. And so...
Maybe someone was.
So I really appreciated the fact that Chris was willing to bear with me. It wasn't time for our tickets to Trinity yet, and I knew that the umbrella installation was not very far from there. So,
as you always hear from people when you're walking to some place you're not sure where you're going, they always say, "We're almost there. We're almost there."
But it is hard to tell on your GPS exactly how far it is if you're winding these little alleys, but it wasn't that far.
We won't get into that.
It was not that far. So when we got to Trinity Library, we were still a little bit early, but Chris suggested that we go ask if we could possibly get in early, and they did let us in. I think we were in about 20 minutes before our ticket time,
yes,
which was great. We went through the library building, and there's an exhibit about the Book of Kells there. It was beautiful, it was informative, told you bit about the history of the Book of Kells, and then you go into, it's called the Treasury, which is where they actually have the Book of Kells, this 1,200-year-old book. Unfortunately, they do not allow any photography or videos of the actual book itself, so all of the photos that we have are of the exhibit itself. The Book of Kells is kept under glass, and you are only allowed to see 2 pages at a time. According to the website, they keep those 2 pages open for 12 weeks at a time, and then they turn it, and the next 2 pages are available to see. It is quite a masterpiece of art, really beautiful. A number of different scribes worked on it. It's the first 4 books of the Gospel, written in Latin, with beautiful artwork. Just amazing thing to see, and to think that it's that old and so well preserved is incredible to me.
It is.
So after our trip to see the Treasury and the Book of Kells, we went into the long room.
Be very, very quiet.
It reminds you of Harry Potter or Game of Thrones or something like that. It's this huge old library. The Book of Kells has actually been there at Trinity Library since the 1600s, when Cromwell's men were raiding, and they wanted to protect it, so it went from Kells to Dublin at that time. Everything you read online about the library, the first thing they tell you is that there are very few books in the library. The first 8 bays have books in them, but the rest of the books have been removed for preservation. So if you're expecting to see all these old books, you're kind of out of luck there because they're kept in controlled conditions to preserve them. But they have busts of all these famous writers and philosophers. Another thing that they have is an art installation called Gaia, which is a 360-degree, three-dimensional copy of the globe that is stitched together from NASA satellite pictures. And it rotates, it's lit up. It was beautiful.
It looks amazing.
It was really amazing. The long room is a really incredible thing to see. They have the harp, Brian Boru's harp, which is the symbol of Ireland. They have a copy of what's essentially the Irish Republic's Declaration of Independence. So there's quite a lot there to see. We didn't spend the time to see it last time. I was very glad we went. A lot of our viewers told us, oh, you've got to see it. And they were right.
They were right.
I know. We should just listen to you and first time and get it over with, right? After that, we went to the pavilion, which is across campus from that. And it has a 360-degree immersive experience.
It's pretty amazing.
Very neat.
Yeah.
It was like you were actually in the picture and you were traveling through time, basically, with the Book of Kells. That was a really amazing thing. And then, of course, the obligatory gift shop visit. They always spit you out in the gift shop, you know. But it was really very nice. The people there were super helpful. Well worth the money.
I would agree with that. So we finally headed north to find the DART station, and this was located at the Terrace Street location. We were kind of fumbling around looking to see how much it would cost and how to get our tickets off of a self-serve machine.
Yeah.
And we met this teacher who is a Canadian expat and has lived in Ireland for around 16 years. He was there waiting for about 30 students. They were all going to Howth. So he was very familiar with how to use these machines and gave us a quick briefing on it, which was pretty easy.
Yeah, he was very helpful. Finding the Terrace Street station, though, was not easy. It was around the corner and kind of between two buildings.
So we finally got our tickets to take the train to Howth. And that was about €5.20 each for a round trip. Not bad. It was about a half-hour ride from the Terrace station. Had some interesting views. Dublin just looks like it's booming with construction. There were construction cranes all over.
So we pulled into the DART station in Howth, which is right there by the harbor. We walked down to the harbor first and saw some of the shops there. As we walked along the harbor and looked at the boats, we saw some harbor seals, which were really cute. And we were really annoyed because we had some issues with photographs and the videos that we took not being saved to the cloud. I don't know if it was just because we had just gotten in country and it wasn't picking them up yet, but we did lose some pictures and videos, and we were not happy about that at all. Yeah, not happy.
Very disappointed.
Yeah. But the harbor seals were really cute. They're just like cats in the water, kind of. They have little whiskers and really cute faces, and they were very sweet. We walked along and looked at some of the businesses there, and there were some fishmongers there. It was amazing to me. What were those fish that were so ugly?
Monkfish.
Monkfish. Oh, they were hideous. I think I've eaten them before in a restaurant, and they're really good, but oh my.
Something you may not want to look at while you're eating it.
No. It was very busy. There were quite a few little restaurants there. We wanted to have fish and chips at Beshoff Brothers. It's well known in Ireland for their fish and chips. And there was one right across the street, basically. So we went in there, and our timing was really pretty good when we went in there for lunch. Because right after we got there and got a seat, it got very busy. We had fish and chips, and I had prawns. We had prawns too. We shared
Right.
some of those. Those were delicious.
Yep,
Everything was really good. We met another couple there.
we did. He was from Ireland, and I believe she was from Canada as well.
I
As
think so.
the teacher that we met, and they were great to talk to. It's kind of bench seating there, so it's a little communal kind of seating. We scooted over and let them sit as they were looking for a place to enjoy their lunch.
Very nice. And we were asking them, we were wanting to go to a pub in Dublin that evening. We didn't want to go to something really touristy, but we wanted to check out the Temple Bar District in the evening on Friday night. And they had suggested McDaid's pub to us.
Perfect.
And it was perfect. You'll hear about that later. Another thing that we talked with them about, we were interested in going to the summit there in Howth because we had been up all night and we had already been to Trinity Library. We had taken the train out. We were heading back into Dublin in the afternoon. We were concerned that we didn't have time to do the cliff walk. And they did say that it would take at least an hour and a half. And I think that was one way, wasn't it?
Correct.
For the cliff walk. And we asked if there was a way to get to the summit without doing that. And they told us that there's a bus that goes to the summit that drops people off and then it will come back around and pick you up. And that we could find out about that at the tourism office, which was right down the street from where we were. So we headed down there. It was right across from the park. And the lady there was very nice, told us where we could catch the bus across the street and that it would let us off at the summit. And taking the bus up to the summit, we were really glad we didn't walk. Because it was pretty steep.
It was steep.
And it was a good walk. It would have taken us quite a while.
It would have, especially with the lack of rest that we've had.
Yes. So we were very thankful that there was a bus.
Yes.
So the bus actually stops at the Summit Inn, which has been there since the 1800s. And it lets you off in the parking lot and then it turns around and goes back down the hill the other way. And you have a little bit of a walk up the hill to the summit, but you just follow the people. You go through a little parking area and then you can see the summit. It overlooks the lighthouse and the little peninsula there. You can see the cruise ships coming by. It was really beautiful. And there's a trail you can walk down a little bit and it overlooks the cliffs and the rocks there. It was very pretty.
I think it's said that you can see whales at some points during
Sometimes
the year.
of the year, yeah.
So that, and people do go there to look at the whales out in the Irish Sea. So after spending some time at the summit, we headed downhill to find the bus stop. I believe they were some German students, maybe freshman year college or maybe even seniors in high school, speaking predominantly in German. They got on the same bus we did. And then when we got to the train station, they got on the same train we did. And so sometimes I'll just sit and kind of listen rather than talk or watch my phone or listen to music. I'll just listen.
Just be in the moment.
In the moment. You tend to hear some interesting and funny little things. The students were sitting back there and they're all talking in German. And then next thing you know, they break out into English speaking, singing Hotel California by the Eagles. Which I just thought, that's pretty cool.
We thought it was very funny.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to join in, but I didn't. We took the train back down to the Terrace station and arrived back in Dublin. So we thought, well, we're on a roll. Let's see if we can find a station for the Luas. And we know that would get us near our hotel because we needed to check in.
But we had not taken a Luas tram before. That was a little different.
It was different, but it was a Friday night. Streets were busy. We had difficulty finding the station to access the train. And even though we asked someone, they thought we knew more than we did. And so their directions were pretty general rather than specific.
Yeah.
But we did end up finding it, and we're waiting or reading the arrival board. And there were 3 trains scheduled to arrive at this Luas station. These 2 gentlemen were looking at the board, and they were making fake bets about which train would arrive first. One would bounce ahead by 2 minutes, and the other one, the 118 or the 104 But it was just, once again, just sitting there listening. It was...
They were just entertaining themselves while they were waiting for the train. They were very funny.
I would do the same thing, honestly.
So then when we got onto the Luas tram, it was very busy.
It's Friday night.
It was. It was packed.
Yep.
And I was holding onto the pole. There was a little girl coming under me. There were two younger guys on that one that had just gotten off their office jobs. They had their ties pulled down a little bit. And
top button unbuttoned. And
we're talking about their Friday night plan.
And then it just reminds me so much of when I lived in Chicago and would get on the bus at rush hour or a train. And inevitably, two coworkers will be complaining about the other coworker that's trying to advance up in the company by
I think the phrase was kissing ours.
Well, yeah.
But they used.
But it was just the funniest conversation, and I was just hanging on to the strap on the train and listening to this because I had nothing else to do.
We were trying not to laugh, but it was very entertaining to hear them.
Great.
So we made it back to the Ashling Hotel. Train comes right in next to Houston Station, which is across the river and about a block down from our hotel. So we made it there. We checked in, got cleaned up a little bit, and it was a beautiful Friday night. So we decided we would just walk from the Ashling down to Temple Bar area to find McDaid's.
25 minutes, perhaps?
Yeah, probably. It was a warm night.
It was.
So it was really busy. Everybody was out. It was a very festive atmosphere.
It was quite fun to walk through. And once we got into the Temple Bar area, we did walk by the Temple Bar.
We did. As a matter of fact, we kind of got separated. I stopped to shoot some photos, and Chris didn't realize I had stopped, and he kept moving. And I looked around, and like I said, it was very busy. I didn't see him. Thank heavens for cell phones. I texted him and said, I'm here. Where are you?
We'll leave that alone.
I have faith that we'll find each other. I mean,
we will.
I know.
Squirrel!
Shiny objects, they distract me.
You've got shiny object syndrome.
As we are walking around and looking for McDaid's, we see the statue of a singer, Irish, born in England but raised Irish, Phil Lynott. He was in a band that was very popular in the 70s. The Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak. The band was Thin Lizzy. Phil Lynott was the lead singer and the bass player. I'd listened to their music, but then I found on this album one of my favorite Thin Lizzy songs, and it's called Dancing in the Moonlight. It's got a great kind of groove and good beat to it and some cool saxophone. There's my picture with him, or his statue, I should say.
And that was one of the ways that the couple that we had met at Beshoff Brothers told us to find McDaid's. They said, oh, it's right across from the statue of Phil Lynott.
So anyway, that reminded me that I needed to get this old album out and give it a spin on the turntable.
So we went across the street to McDaid's, and McDaid's is actually a bar that's known for some of its literary connections. There are some authors who drank there, apparently.
And apparently other places, too.
Yes. The bar was very busy since it was a Friday night. There were a few tourists, but a lot of locals there.
I would say mostly locals.
Yeah.
And it was just like any good pub, I'd say. It was loud. Not like deafening, but you could tell conversation was happening.
Yes.
And it was just a great vibe to walk into.
We met a gentleman there by the name of Edward.
Yep.
And talked with him for quite a long time.
Yes, we did.
Very fun. A very classic type of pub.
Yep.
which was really nice being in the Temple Bar area because Temple Bar is known for being very touristy, but at the same time there are some kind of old school pubs there that are really nice.
Yeah, McDaid's didn't feel touristy. It just, the owner was serving us beer, and Edward knew the owner, and so they had some words back and forth that were kind of fun.
Yeah, it was very much the real deal. So
I would say, and we talked about everything.
We left McDaid's and we headed back through Temple Bar. It was really hopping. Great atmosphere. As you walked by all the bars, you could hear the music. As we came out onto the Liffey, there was a band playing on one of the bridges over the Liffey. It was beautiful. All the lights from Dublin. We had not gotten to see Dublin at night on our last trip. It was kind of magical. It's an atmosphere that you don't get during the daytime. As we walked back, we were kind of looking for a restaurant because we just get caught up in the moment and we don't eat. And so we were hungry. Most of the restaurants were already closed, though, at that point in time, or they were not taking anyone else for the evening. So when we got back to the hotel, we asked them, is there any place around here to get something to eat that's still open? But the hotel did tell us that there was an Asian restaurant just down the street that did carry out. And well, our viewers, we had asked them about a spice bag because we had not had a spice bag, but we had heard about it. And they were like, oh yeah, especially if you've been out drinking in the evening, perfect thing. So we took it back to the hotel room. It was really good.
It was great.
It was really good.
It was just what I needed at that time.
Fried food, spicy.
Chips or fries, whatever you want to call it. There were some little egg rolls, some tiny fingers.
Yeah, like spring rolls.
Spring rolls that were fried. Salt and pepper chicken. Peppers were sliced up. I would have bet money that there were some clam strips in there, but I could be wrong about that.
I think those were pieces of chicken that were just kind of overcooked a little bit till they were chewy like clams.
Could be. It was all good, though.
It was really good. We did pretty good damage to it.
We did ourselves pretty well on that one.
We did. We did manage to get to bed by 11:30 that night.
And slept like little children.
We did. We were out cold. That was our 18 and a half hours in Dublin and Howth. In our next episode, we'll be telling you about day 2 of our trip to Ireland.
I'll let you know how we felt after the spice bag.
Yeah. But until then, take a look at these videos here.
Do I need to duck?
No, I zoomed out so you don't need to duck this time. It should be right there and right here.
Okay.
And we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks again for watching. Bye now.
Bye.